Do 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 do. It says that we're actually live now, but nobody really knows. That's a sewing machine in the background because we manufacture things in America. It's always funny to me when people on the live stream are like, "What's that noise? Is that a train? Is that a train in the background? What could that noise be?" No, that's a sewing machine. And that sewing machine should continue doing all the sewing machine things that it does, because if it didn't, then we wouldn't have fine American-made products here at refugemedical.com. Hi, I'm Bear from the internet, and the internet alleges that we are actually live now. So let's go over here and do this. Fabulous, tremendous, believe it. It is the 15th of July, 2025, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Of course, the show is brought to you by the creator of the universe and the fine people at Patreon and refugemannequins.com. We have these wonderful new trauma mannequins. Hey, Mike, come here. They're tremendous. They're very lifelike. And they have amazing capability. We have a 1.0 prototype that we've rolled out. Come here. Come here. Look how lifelike this trauma mannequin is, right? If you shoot it, it'll scream. Ah! It'll actually bleed.
Hold on.
Don't.
Older model?
Stop. It's YouTube. Don't do that. Don't do that. We barely got on here. So if you want one of these, refugemannequin.com is where you can find the new trauma mannequin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
There's better models out there.
I don't know. I like that one. It's great. So let's see. You're never going to believe this, but Trump is mad at Russia and Ukraine at the same time. So here we are. Coming from RT.com, Russia doesn't respond to pressure, how Moscow sees Trump's ultimatum. And this is, it's Russia Today, so this is Russian propaganda. We know that. It's all propaganda. We just consider the source, all right? So on Monday, yesterday, the 14th of July, U.S. President Donald Trump issued a stark ultimatum. Russia has 50 days to reach a peace agreement or face, quote, very severe tariffs on its exports, potentially as high as 100%. 100%, I think, as the children say. The moves signal a shift from rhetorical posturing to a time-bound strategy aimed at forcing negotiations. While Trump's statement made waves in Washington and Europe, it's the reaction from Moscow that may prove most consequential. In this roundup, RT presents a cross-section of blah, 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 blah propaganda, blah, blah, blah. So I liked this dude here, Ivan Temenofeev, Program Director of the Vardai Club. Point 1. Trump is frustrated with Moscow's position on Ukraine. No shit. Really? Because Moscow's position on Ukraine has been since February 24th, 2022. Hey, that's ours and we're taking it. And we're just going to have a little special military operation, 124 battalion tactical groups that came across the Ukrainian and Belarusian border. Russian and Belarusian border into Ukraine. Now, remember Lukashenko and Belarus? What?
It's not the sewing machine.
It sounds like this.
A really weird popping sound.
I don't know.
Okay, just letting you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Lukashenko, Belarus, BFFs with Putin. And remember, 18 months or so ago, there was talks about Belarus getting some nukes back from Russia. Do you remember that? And then they did, or they didn't, and we don't really know. Nobody really knows. So, something to be aware of. So, Trump is frustrated with Moscow's position on Ukraine. Duh. Number 2, the Lindsey Graham sanctions bill. Love that guy. He's a true patriot. He definitely doesn't want to send your sons and daughters to bleed and die half a world away to get the $13 trillion worth of minerals underneath the soil in Ukraine. He definitely never said that publicly, and otherwise has been a very stand-up individual. The Lindsey Graham sanctions bill is now much more likely to pass. Among other things, it would authorize secondary tariffs of up to 500 10% on countries that import Russian oil and other raw materials. While the U.S. president already has the power to impose these measures unilaterally under the IEPA bill, this bill would bring Congress into alignment and add yet another layer of already sprawling legal web of sanctions on Russia. 3. Trump would have full discretion over these secondary tariffs, which means they could be anywhere between 100 and 500%. So for example, India might face lower tariffs, China and higher ones, or he might apply them uniformly. Lots of tariff talk here. 4. A coordinated pushback from the global south is unlikely. And this is one of the more important points here, as everybody figures out whether or not to chew their fingernails and put the helmet on and get into the bunker. What should we do? What you should do is live your little life wonderfully in a way that pleases the Most High, and remain aware of certain geopolitical indicators and factors that may determine whether or not you need to put a helmet on. But this is not the end of it. Today, there's nothing on my radar that I can see today that's like, this is the end of the world. And I'm telling you this in truth and honesty because most preparedness channels and news channels want to get you all spun up. And they want to get you spun up because fear is an excellent short-term motivator. And then they're gonna create the problem, Hegelian dialectic, from an advertising standpoint, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The thesis is the world is gonna end. The antithesis is I've got what you need to survive. And the synthesis is click here to buy now for some Chinese bullshit survival tools that so that you can like not become a statistic when the world ends or whatever. So I'm also simulcasting on X right now. For those that are on X, and I'm not doing it well. I literally just propped up an iPhone and pointed it out my face hole while I'm talking. Because YouTube hates our guts. So again, share, subscribe, ring the little bell icon, blah, blah, blah. Much love to the patrons. Much love. The video that we did this morning on clean and unclean and rabbits and ducks and quail and all that homestead-related content, I thought was really good. So if you haven't watched that yet today, there's a lot of parables in there. It's not just parashot. It's not just literal. You might have seen that title come up and go, yeah, ducks and rabbits, who cares? I got better stuff to do. All of the videos, they're layered with information. It's not just the literal. So check it out. Let's see. A coordinated pushback from the global south is unlikely. Trump has already been pressuring both allies and neutral countries with new tariffs since April, and most are caving. Even China is treading carefully. China's also very broke right now. But the whole world is. The whole world is very broke. I mean, this current thing with, rabbit hole. The European Union and European NATO countries are now pledging to provide Ukraine with the offensive and defensive weaponry that it believes it requires in order to end the special military operation by Russia in Ukraine, which I think is a pipe dream, but whatever. I've been wrong before, as have all the other analysts. The Europeans don't have the money to buy this stuff. They don't have the money to remilitarize themselves. Additionally, now this is good for the United States because the idea here is that rather than the United States continuing to send arms and armaments from its dwindling stockpiles, which has been an issue here as of late because we're running low on stuff, as many people forecasted would happen. The idea is that these European countries will send their existing stockpiles to Ukraine, and then the stockpiles will be replenished by the military-industrial complex. The Europeans can buy more guns and tanks and bombs and planes and missiles and whatever else from American defense contractors, which all sounds great. That'll be great for the economy, right? And they roll this old trick out every time the economy starts to look a little tailspinny-ish. They go, hey, you know what'll fix this? Warfare. Let's just have some warfare. That's good for the economy. The report from Iron Mountain. Google that if you've never read it before. So the problem with that is almost all of these advanced weapon systems require raw inputs from a little company, or a little country rather, called China. You might have heard of them. And so it's actually, in a weird way, good for China that the United States is at war, as long as the United States is not at war with China. Because all the neodymium magnet, or however you pronounce that word, neodymium magnets and rare earth minerals and hell, just high silica glass, all that stuff that's used by Raytheon and L3 Harris and Lockheed Martin, all these, these wonderful conglomerations of like bro vets and nerds with pocket protectors that get together and make stuff so that humanity can kill each other more efficiently. Most of their raw inputs, the really special ones, come from China. So it's in China's best interest that the world is at war as long as they're not at war with China. Because China's economy is falling apart, so they need the money. But everybody else's economy is falling apart too, so they don't quite have the money to buy the stuff that they need to kill their neighbors. This is a very weird dynamic. It's like, hey, the economy's bad, we should have a war. Well, it turns out that it requires an economy to support a war. So, who knows? I think maybe we'll just go the Samson option, and everybody will get nuked, and then we'll be back to the Stone Age, and then we'll have like a great reset, if you will, interesting term, where we'll use sharp sticks and rocks. We can ride on the back of wildebeests and feral hogs into battle, and it'd be great. Like just a nice little great reset. So the global south is unlikely to coordinate a pushback against against Trump in his sanctions against Russia. Trump's 50-day deadline amounts to an ultimatum. Moscow will ultimately ignore it, making the imposition of secondary tariffs highly probable, perhaps even default scenario. That said, Russia isn't without leverage, limited though it may be, and it's clearly preparing for a hardline path. Tight global commodity markets and well-established export channels work in Russia's favor. Maybe. I agree that Russia's going to have a hard go of it. I agree that Russia is not going to adhere to this 50-day deadline, 50 days to slow the spread of warfare. But I don't think additional tariffs are going to behoove Russia's ability to continue to conduct commerce around the world, especially with secondary tariffs on inputs coming into Russia as high as 500%. The idea here being to break the Russians economically so they can't continue to perpetuate war in Ukraine, which is super interesting because last I heard in November 2024, we weren't supposed to get any new wars anyway. And you could argue, well, this isn't a new war, but it's a certain individual with the bright orange hair said that this war would be over on day one. And that hasn't happened. It's not day one yet, to which people would say, why, the MAGA hardcore people will be like, well, would you rather have Kamala? No, I didn't say that. That's a ridiculous argument. I think that we should keep people accountable to their own words, and there were a lot of words that were thrown around in November 2024 that seemed to mean nothing, and we'll get to some of those words here in a moment. So the 50-day ultimatum, Russia's going to violate it, and I think that's a good assessment. That's a reasonable assessment there. I don't think that Russia is going to be able to continue, if 500% tariffs are imposed, I do think it will break the backbone, or has the potential to break the backbone of the Russian economy. Now, one of the things that people are unaware of, we've talked about this before, the bombs that fell on Iran, remember that? The word is not Lufthansa, that's a German airline. Natanz, right, and Isfahan, and Fordow, these three different nuclear facilities. The bombs falling there. Lorna, are you listening to my voice over there?
I'm sorry.
It's like,
It's too loud.
yeah, I'm
Sorry,
like,
my bad.
what is happening over
I'm
there?
watching the CPR video.
Oh,
My bad.
it's okay. So the bombs that fell in Iran, why? Because now all of a sudden there's an existential threat posed by Iran, although they've been likely to get nuclear weapons my entire lifetime. Iran will have nukes in 2 weeks for the last 40 plus years. They're 2 weeks away from having nuclear weapons. No, don't you understand, Bear? They went from 30% enriched to 60% enriched. It's just a quick jump from there to 90% enriched in order to make a nuclear weapon. Well, the uranium, highly enriched uranium, is part of the bomb. It's not the only part of the bomb. And the idea, the reporting has been, again, reporting from who? Because do you believe the government or do you not believe the government? Do you believe the media or do you not believe the media? We just unilaterally throw out all these sources of information, or do we pick and choose which ones we'd like to believe? And if so, when we believe them, is that because the information is accurate and verifiable by 2 or more sources, or is it because it just feels good to us? Right? So there's a lot of nuance and context as to whether or not these are reliable witnesses. But the media has been saying my whole lifetime, yeah, not only are they 2 weeks away from getting a bomb, but they've also built all the components and sub-assemblies required. The only thing they're missing is the enriched uranium. I don't think so. I don't believe that to be true. But anyway, even if it might have been true, we dropped some bombs at Isfahan and Natanz and Fordow. Okay, is a little, maybe a big slap on the wrist to the Iranians. And then openly suggested that it was time for regime change in Iran. Okay, why? Well, because 1/7 of Russian GDP is arms sales to Iran. And then those arms are used to then train out of Iran the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and the Blowfish and Hooters girls and anybody else who's got a name that starts with a H that has questionable morals. Okay? So, and then Israel's been at war October 7th, 2023 forward, which there's a lot of controversy around October 7th, made it happen, let it happen. You've heard the talking points. This was their 9/11. Yeah, okay. And so 9/11 was something that's got a clear and believable narrative as far as cause and effect is concerned. Yeah, it was their 9/11. Dig a little bit deeper into that. Point is, Israel has been hitting the proxy groups from Iran, Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. Why? Because Israel and Iran proxies are a proxy war themselves between Russia and the United States. And so Iran got 1.7 billion from Russia for the Shahed drone. I think it was 30,000 drones, as well as the technical data package to be able to produce drones themselves inside of Russia, which is now has come online within the last couple of months, which is why you've seen so many drone swarms in the Ukraine war, Russia versus Ukraine in Ukraine, which is why Ukraine is crying for we need more money and weapons, to which the United States has said, hey man, we're running out of both of those things, go ask the Europeans. The Europeans have said, well, we might give you a little bit of what we got, to which the United States is doing, you know, this move from The Simpsons, the old rich guy, whatever his name was. Because where are the Europeans gonna buy more missiles and tanks and bombs and planes and guns from? Us, because America, that's what we do, we're good at that stuff. How does the Russian economy survive all that when everybody's broke? I don't know. Maybe we will get a great reset. Maybe you will own nothing and like it. Me personally, I like eating sheep in the woods with my homies. I think we will be okay if that happens. All that to say, I think it's going to get worse before it gets worse. Point 6, this may mark the end of back-channel diplomacy on Ukraine. Sanctions will be ramped up and arms deliveries to Kyiv are likely to intensify. Russia, for its part, will maintain military pressure. We're back to a familiar standoff. Now, these people, both sides, Russia and Ukraine, are running out of bodies to throw into the maw of warfare. We think, because the reporting on this is, again, bad and polarizing. Because open source, unbiased information on Russia and Ukraine and the Russia-Ukraine conflict is next to impossible to get clean data out of, because everybody has a bias. Every single person reporting on it has a bias. They're either very, and then there's a whole bunch of like ad hominem attacks that come if you don't support one or the other. It's like, oh, so you're for good people dying? No, I never said that. I'm just curious as to why we're still spending my taxpayer dollars half a world away on a war that we the Americans, basically laid the groundwork for in 2014 by having certain individuals from certain agencies in the country that fomented a regime change and got this professional actor named Zelensky elected as president to then send American taxpayer dollars over there during a time of domestic political turmoil where at least 60% of the money that was air quotes sent to Ukraine never achieved Ukraine and was instead washed through NGOs like Act Blue that ended back up in the pockets of certain politicians here in America for their re-election campaigns. It's a grift. The whole thing's a grift. So why are we still doing this? And because it's a grift, and I know it's a grift, doesn't mean I support good people dying. In fact, I'm against good people dying. To which the opposite ad hominem attack is, oh, so you're saying the Russians are good? I didn't name a country when I said I'm against good people dying. But they're running out of men, both sides. The average age of a frontline troop in Ukraine exceeds 60 years old right now. They were forcibly rounding people up, abducting young men and sending them to the front lines. You know, they're avoiding the draft. They wouldn't go. Okay, well now the Ukrainians have reversed course and are sending their old men who have already had children to the front lines because they realize they're going to have a huge demography problem in the coming decades if they even survive, because there won't be enough men left to reproduce with. Yeah. So what? How do you fight a world war, or even a small war? Think about this, because everybody talks about World War III, right? It's coming, man. World War III's coming. Yeah, probably with sharp sticks, because we're on year 3.5 of the Ukrainian war, with the air quote world superpowers involved, and everybody's running out of arms, armaments, and money. In a little tiny place like Ukraine, oh, it's a very big country, Barry. You should look at it on the map. It's smaller than the world, okay? It's not a big war. And everybody's running out of people and money and missiles and bombs and I don't know. Anyway, point 6, this may mark the end of back-channel diplomacy on Ukraine. I would agree with that. And point 7, the optimism in Russian markets is puzzling. Yes, sanctions haven't been imposed yet, which some investors may have hoped for, but the risk landscape has only worsened. The current rally looks short-lived. Those banking on a quick end to sanctions may be in for a long wait. Now that's all from the Russian perspective. Let me bounce over here and look at the chat. It's been a minute since I looked at the El Chato. Connor Brown says 5x5. Fluster Club 5x5. Awesome. Striker K, what's up? Badger, what's up, man? Hello to everyone in the chat. Over on YouTube, there's 600 plus people. Remember the good old days before we got all the way shadow banned, where we'd have 3,000, 3,500, 4,200 people on a live stream? That's why it's so important if you guys can share the show, okay? Because algorithmically, we've been in the gulag for the last 18 months or so. And I vacillate back and forth between caring and not caring, being completely honest. I've yet to find a platform that I actually enjoy being on. Like in the early days of YouTube, it was kind of enjoyable, man. It was nice. You make a little content, you talk a little trash in the comments, and move on with your day. And then YouTube was like, oh, this guy says things that are not socially acceptable. I think we need to just go ahead and give him 2 channel strikes and police all of his content and hold a sword of Damocles over his head. And then people are like, you should get on Rumble. Nope. Done it. Did it for 2 years. Rumble sucks. And here's the thing. I wish that it didn't. I wish that it was a viable option. But it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. It's terrible from an algorithmic traction standpoint. It's terrible from a content creator standpoint. It's terrible from a monetary standpoint. And you'll hear people say like, well, all the people that weren't getting traction on YouTube went over to Rumble. I'm a constitutional absolutist, and I'm a constitutional literalist. I think you should be able to say whatever wild shit you want to say.
Wild.
Wild. Just wild. But there's a reason a lot of those people are over on Rumble. There's a reason there was a mass exodus by certain folks over from YouTube to Rumble. in the early days of Rumble, and that reason is most of those people are batshit crazy. And so then it's like, do I even want to be hanging out with these people over on Rumble? No, not all of them. There's some good content creators over there, but a lot of them are they just be wilding out. So, I'm a man without a country when it comes to content creation, and that's okay. Do 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 do. Boop boop boop. Boo doo ba doo boop 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 boop. Boo doo 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 doo. Bop bop bop. Germany becoming dangerous again, according to the Kremlin. That's Russia. Dmitry Peskov said on Monday, responding to remarks, blah 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 blah. Germany is becoming dangerous again. If deterrence doesn't work and Russia attacks, is it going to happen? Yes, Pistorius said, but I would recommend that you simply go to Vilnius and talk to the representatives of the German brigade there. They know exactly what their job is. Any talk of peace can only be possible on equal terms and from a position of strength, Pistorius insisted. While Germany is not seeking to intimidate anyone, no one should think that we're weak or that we won't defend ourselves. Huh. Strong words, Germany. Now, I'm half German, son of a German immigrant who was adopted because when my mom's biological parents came to this country, they were so poor that they could not afford to feed their children, and so they gave their children up for adoption. And a wonderful couple, Charles and Mary Lane, adopted my mom and my aunt. And but they were like straight off the boat German. Back when you could do that in the United States of America, when people would come to the land of opportunity and assimilate appropriately into the culture, not just the workforce, but the culture as well. And so, I like Oktoberfest. I like Lederhosen. Yeah, I like some Jaeger Schnitzel and some Spätzle. There's been some interesting times old Germany's had over the last 125 years or so. But Germany's getting dangerous again. Germany's also broke, just so everybody's on the same page here. Now, an interesting byproduct of the world going broke is that there's fewer and fewer funds. What do you got there? Let me see that. There's fewer and fewer funds in order to fund the wokeism, and I'm here for it. ProlongedFieldCare.org. Yes, love those guys. Show it on camera. Come here, show it on camera. I love those guys. ProlongedFieldCare.org. Quick shout out for them, man. They have so many resources there. Yep, they're awesome. So you just couldn't stand the fact that I got a Prolonged Field Care shirt, so you had to get a pro. Okay, that's fair. I like it. And they have a lot of really excellent resources at ProlongedFieldCare.org. So you got a long sleeve? Oh well, now I have to get a long sleeve in July in Oklahoma. But if you're into tactical medicine, if you like doing the things, I just can't say enough good things about ProlongedFieldCare.org. Go check them out. Lots and lots and lots of free resources over there. Continuing, so Germany's getting dangerous again. That's fun. At the same time, Xi pledges a deeper partnership with Russia. The Chinese president made the statement at a meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, according to Moscow. And so this is your typical Chinese diplo speak. Xi praised the state of Russian-Chinese relations, confirming his commitment to expanding the country's comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation. He also welcomed the upcoming visit of President Vladimir Putin, describing the relationship with his Russian counterpart as a long-standing and good friendship. Blah. Blah, blah, blah. There's not much here other than reasserting an existing relationship. It's not like, it's literally reported as Xi pledges deeper partnership with Russia. That's not what it says. They're just reaffirming the existing partnership between China and Russia. So I wouldn't trip out over that. Both of which are posturing as if they're incredibly powerful, strong, and the entire world should fear them, both of which are running out of money and people and are suffering their own economic crises. So that's my take on it. You might disagree. Now, could China and Russia pose if they, with their combined power, if China and Russia become the Voltron of the Eastern Hemisphere, maybe suck up North Korea and whatever, just a few other random countries, and with our powers combined, we are Captain Scumbag. Could they pose a threat to the United States? Sure. Yeah, of course they could. I think the United States' largest threat is an insider threat, and not just bad actors who have come here illegally. And by that, I don't mean just agricultural workers, undocumented, are newcomers, as the Biden administration called them. I think I mean the people in $3,500 suits and $700 wingtips in Washington, D.C. as an insider threat, and where their political allegiances lie. Look at the pin on their lapel. Is it just an American flag there, or is there another country's flag on their lapel as well? Getting into, certain things, Khazarian mafia-related activities. Which brings us to, from Axios, yeah, left-wing rag. But here we are. Like I said, everybody has a bias. Hey, I looked over here to the screen, and there's all these super chats. Folks, pay attention to what Muslim groups are saying. Don't be blindsided. Stay alert. Thunderdog, and then Patriot Plumber. Good morning, Bear Nation. What's up, Patriot Plumber? Hey, respond to the email that I sent you, unless you already have, in which case I'll read it later. But if you haven't, respond to the email that I sent to you. Morning, Whoopi. The radical Muslims still want Americans dead. They were just recently in Lexington, Kentucky. There was a church shooting that occurred where there was a radical Muslim individual that was basically pulled over for a traffic infraction, and dude bolted, ran into a church and started shooting. A couple of women died. I'll say it again. If you're on a church security team, you better have your head on a swivel. You better have already established what your benchmarks for performance look like. What are your training standards? And you need to be able to hit the training standards, because it's weird out there. There's lots of people that want Americans and Christians dead. Lots of people. Hyperfixating on an individual threat will make you blind to the overarching strategic picture of what the actual threat is to you. Doesn't mean that, at a tactical operational level, you shouldn't be aware of what those individual threats are, but you need to just understand that there's threats. And if you are a believer of the book, and I would submit the whole book, the whole world will be against us at some point. And I would further submit, the servant is not greater than the master, and the master, Jesus the Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, an insider threat, a snitch, gave him up, ratted him out to his own government when he was then, and then his own government confirmed his, air quote, guiltiness, via the testimony of religious assholes who then murdered him. Now, no man takes my life, I lay it down freely, sure, but the servant is not greater than the master. So if you're not living your life in such a way that is wildly dangerous to both your own government and the religious assholes, are you following Christ? Or are you following a facsimile of Christ? Yeah. Don't let them round the edges off of Messiah and make him just a really nice guy, and then abuse that to tell you to just be a really nice guy, and maybe if you're just nice enough, you'll get into heaven, because I don't get that from the reading at all. There can be no compassion without great power and authority. There's no compassion if you're weak. He was not weak at all. He was a threat to both the religious assholes of his day and his own government. Think about that. But I digress upon my digression. Speaking of threats, Trump faces MAGA trust crisis over Epstein debacle, coming from Axios. Top MAGA influencers warn the Trump administration is bleeding trust over its handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case. Can we even say that word out loud on YouTube? I guess we'll find out. And that I'm reading from Axios YouTube. You know, YouTube's owned by Google. Well, Susan Wojcicki, actually. Oh, and look, it's trying to run an ad. Inexplicably, at this very moment, it wants to run an ad. Who'd have thought? I'm reading the news, YouTube/Google, from Axios, who you are political friends with. So, everybody chill. Okay? All right, cool. Top MAGA influencers warn the Trump administration is bleeding trust over its handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case and that the president is drifting out of step with the movement he built. Did he build it, or did he label a pre-existing movement and then co-opt it and then build a whole bunch of social pressure through basically eliciting from his populace what it is that they held important and then parroting back to them, you, me, same, friend, to build context and rapport to get the political horsepower needed in order to be elected in November 2024, to then enact whatever he saw fit to enact, because he's already elected, he's a lame duck president, and really, from a political standpoint, the only major concern at this point is the midterm elections for the Republican coalition, the Republican political party, which Trump isn't really anyway, or at least that's the talking point. Were we duped? Quite possibly. But the idea of being duped is so painful to so many people that they won't even consider it. It might be that the guy who wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, used, I hesitate to use the phrase useful idiots, but it might be that he co-opted a pre-existing movement, probably 15 years out from what was the Tea Party and no step on Sneck and the whole nine. And again, this is basic human operations. You, me, same, friend. Oh my gosh, you have eyebrows? I have eyebrows too. That's crazy. Are they on top of your eyes? I also have eyes. No way. What color are your eyeballs? Mine are brown. Yours are blue? That's nuts. Did you know that only like 2% of the population has blue eyeballs? You must be very special. Speaking of very special. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Next thing you know, elected the president. Okay? So, MAGA that he helped build. No, I think it was MAGA. What he did was he labeled. He created, and labeling is also, especially in the world of human, very important. Very, very important. You know, Bear Nation, one of the reasons that I love you guys so much is because we have done so many good works together. Caleb House, Grindstone, Refuge. There's not another audience on YouTube, on planet Earth. I'm labeling you right now. See? Now it's true, I actually feel that way, but all those are labels. And when somebody applies a label to you that resonates with how you would like to think about yourself, your brain then makes happy chemicals in your brain. And you go, I like this person because they make me, oh, it's Monica. Are you going to come on camera today? Is today the day?
She's too elusive.
She is. Yeah, Monica's very elusive.
It's a name. They have no
She's
idea.
like a Bigfoot, like a Yeti, you know? Yeah, anytime you see her on camera, she's always blurry and like walking past the camera quickly.
Oh my god, it'd be so funny if we did a clip of her and made her
It would do the Sasquatch walk. Not the Zapruder film, different film. That would be hysterical. Monica, we have to do
Monica.
it. It's for the good of the company. You don't actually, all you have to do is look over your shoulder at the camera quickly and then walk into the woods. It'd be awesome.
It'll be pixelated.
And then it'll come up and be like, you never know what's out there, right? Be prepared. Perfect. Nailed it. Anyway, so when somebody labels you with a label that you would like to be labeled with, your brain makes happy chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and then you associate that individual who positively labeled you with happy chemicals in your brain, which then, without you even knowing it, you're physiologically giving that person a little bit of dominion over you, and that increases what's called rapport. And so the more they do that, and how would they do that? They listen to what you say and then they repeat it back to you, which is exactly what Trump did over the campaign trail last couple of years. You grow closer and closer to that individual until they do things like this Epstein thing, where you're like, maybe he's not the person I thought he was. But now your brain's making unhappy chemicals, and the happy chemicals are saying, bro, stop. We like it when we're happy. I feel good. I feel like this person has heard me. They wouldn't lie to me. They would never do that. Yeah, of course they would. And I'm not just talking about Trump. I'm talking about anybody. And so when the truth comes out, the truth is oftentimes very uncomfortable because it forces you to question how you ended up at the opinion that you've built or the relationship you built with this individual in the first place, all of which mirrors like abusive relationships. Like, I know he messes up sometimes, but I love him and he loves me too. Really? Let's look at the historical data here. Does he love you? Well, he's only thrown me down the stairs twice. He only punches me when he's had a rough day at work. It's like, that's not love. Run away. Leave. You shouldn't stay there. But I digress. The MAGA base was blindsided by the Justice Department's conclusion that the notorious sex trafficker died by suicide in 2019 and had no client list. Days after the initial shock, Trump's insistent on moving on is fueling a deeper sense of betrayal. I'm sure you guys have all tracked Dan Bongino ran away and then he came back, and then allegedly the actual files, the actual client list was then leaked on the dark web, and then there's a bunch of grifters on X saying that they've got the files, and you click the link and it just basically, they do one of two things. They steal your identity or you hit a paywall, one or the other. So there's even a grift on the grift at this point. Trump posted, "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?" Trump asked incredulously during Tuesday's cabinet meeting after a reporter pressed Attorney General Pam Bondi on the findings. Now, Bondi's terrible. Bondi shouldn't be there. Trump keeps saying, she's doing a great job. Very good. She's the best. Everybody loves her. No, everybody does not love her, sir. She's terrible. And she's been terrible since before you appointed her. And so then, like, the hopers, we'll call them that, the hopers, those that still have hope in this situation, will say things to the effect of, well, Trump's playing 4D chess. Trump's playing 9-dimensional chess. Trump's not even playing chess. He's playing a game you never even heard of before because he's so good. And so he knows Bondi's bad, but he put Bondi in there to expose how bad Bondi is so that then he can get rid of her, to get her out of the way, to then do what he actually wants to do. He's the president of the United States of America, lame duck, second term. Why even put her in the first place? What is he hoping to accomplish? So you don't understand, Bear. It's really big. They've got it. This is all deep state stuff. They've got to dismantle this behind the scenes. It's a fight for our republic. Is it, though? Because if it was that big of a deal, if it was that complicated, see, because here's the next step. If it's that big of a deal and that complicated, why would you even be aware of it? How did you come across that information? Which then leads to, at some point, the 17th letter, Q. And even if you yourself don't espouse belief in Q, you're probably receiving information from those that do. What's Q? Q is an amalgam of intelligence assets inside of the DoD and federal governmental infrastructure that started making a series of drops, trust the plan, back in, 2019, 2018, and subsequent releases since then, even though Q from 4chan has been tied directly to FBI and CIA servers. So is it a disinformation campaign? Probably. So which plan should we trust? The answer is the creator's plan. We should be so trustful in the creator's plan that the plans of men don't even bother us, which is challenging in 2025. I agree. But if Trump's playing four-dimensional chess, what makes us think that we have any insight into the moves that he's making anyway? And if he's not, and here's the thing, the flip side here, people will hold on to the idea that Trump's playing four-dimensional chess more than they'll just accept the facts at face value and go, huh, Pandy does suck, and she does have pre-existing ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and she did let him off the hook, and Trump, knowing all of that, appointed her to Attorney General of the United States of America. Maybe there's a reason for it that none of us see. But the facts are the facts. Like, all that's true. Maybe there is nine-dimensional chess going on behind the scenes. If so, none of us are privy to that. But the facts are, she sucks. And by sucks, what I mean is she has flip-flopped on her words since literally the day she got into office, appointed directly by the President of the United States of America, with pre-existing relationships to Jeffrey Epstein. So now then the talking point has become, Trump himself said that the Epstein files were created by Hillary and Obama and James Comey and the intelligence apparatus. Well then why did Bondi say she had them on her desk? Who's lying here? And the more Trump says, hey, don't worry about the Epstein files, the more people are going to worry about them. Some have posited that that's the tactic there. That, see, he's playing, sleight of hand when he says, don't worry about the Epstein files, and what he's really saying is Epstein files. They're like dog whistles here. But again, that requires more hopium than I'm willing to smoke on the daily basis. You've got Tucker Carlson coming out and saying that Epstein was an asset of the nation state of Israel, and so he's come out and said the quiet part out loud. I think that's it's interesting. We're starting to see a turn in domestic support for the nation state of Israel as more and more people notice more and more things. I don't think we'll ever get the files, although allegedly they've been leaked on the dark web, and they include such things as former President Barack Hussein Obama, he of the Kenyan nationality. Facts. It's not conjecture. They're not slurs. It's not racism. It's just facts. There's articles that CNN wrote when he was still a state-level politician in Illinois, espousing his Kenyan heritage, and yet somehow got air quote elected to President of the United States of America, being foreign-born, not being a natural-born citizen. Okay. Anyway, Barry, who's totally married to a dude, Barry is named in the alleged dark web Epstein files as being not just an offender, but one of the ringleaders, which goes back to the idea that all of our politicians, most of our politicians, are compromised by these files, which is why they haven't come out yet. To which I would say, if our country has gotten to the point where the release of a list of pedophiles destroys our country deserves to be destroyed. Because if we don't destroy it, if it's built on that, we are all, as population, United States of America, as citizens here, we're all grifting off the back of raped and murdered children to perpetuate this normalcy that we've grown so comfortable with. And that's abhorrent. So me personally, release the files, let the chips fall where they may. I don't care. And an interesting thought comes to me. This idea that AI keeps going rogue, Grok and ChatGPT and others, they're having a hard time putting moral and ethical constraints around the robots. Imagine that. I mean, I've seen the documentary Terminator 2. I'm aware. Turn Grok loose. Turn Grok loose on the Epstein files. Now, currently, it's alleged that AI, general use AI search engines, do not touch the dark web. But I'm pretty sure you could talk ChatGPT into coming up with something on this, and just turn it loose. Revelation, if we read the book of Revelation, the apocalypse, what's the definition of apocalypse? www.google.com. Apocalypse definition. Ba-do-do-do-do-do. The Old English apocalypsin via Old French and ecclesiastical Latin from Greek apocalypsis from apocalyptine, to uncover or reveal. It's a revealing. You're revealing. Maybe it's time for a little bit of an apocalypse. Reveal it. Turn Grok loose and let Grok do what Grok does and reveal all this stuff to the world. Maybe that's the great reset we need. I don't know. You're paying 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of your revenue to people like this who are systematically and ritualistically abusing children. At the same time, devaluing the US dollar. At the same time, starting endless wars around the world. At the same time, paying lip service only to the Creator and the Creator made flesh. Why? Why serve this Babylon Beast system? You shouldn't. You do you. You can do whatever you want. But why? Which goes back to most preparedness / intel / news channels. Their whole shtick, their whole modus operandi is to get you spun up in fear so that they can manipulate the fear that you have for their benefit, aka Hegelian dialectic. They'll bitch and moan about Trump and Putin and their Hegelian dialectic, or Davos and their Hegelian dialectic, or Klaus Schwab, right? But then they perform their own Hegelian dialectic. Problem, solution, and result. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. I don't want to play these stupid games. Not if it means that key leadership around the world, air quote, key leadership around the world, is funded at the barrel of a gun in order to perpetuate their abominations. I'm not interested in that. Just factually, getting a little bit of standoff to be able to look at the problem set instead of getting all spun up, to actually just look at the problem set and go, nope, this is not righteous. This is ridiculous. It's not. I don't want to be a part of it. So then why? Why do we just go through all these different news stories today? Because while I don't want to participate in it, it still has the capability to negatively impact me. And so I need to be aware of, to the best of my ability, the broad brushstrokes, so that if the system goes crazy and starts lashing out, if it tries to lash out at me, however that might be, militarily, economically, lawfare, whatever it is, I have a higher rate of survivability because I at least have some forewarning of the death throes of the beast, if that makes sense. It might not. And this is a little higher level stuff today. Shall we shill? Shall we shill? Lauren, you want to come over here and talk to the people?
I shall come talk to
Come talk to people. Roran, talk to people. We have, I left 2 things on the desk here for you while you talk to people.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, people.
Oh. Let me get that out of the way. I'm going to go make more coffee. I'll be back in a minute.
Hello, people. My name is Roran.
Hello, Roran.
Hello, everyone. Hi, lamppost. My flowers are dead, and yesterday somebody came and they were smelling them, and I was like, Alyssa brought me those. But I'm keeping them on my desk because I'm a slob. We literally joke about my desk. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm kind of really a germaphobe, but my desk is a total mess. Anyways, none of that is the point here. I'm here to not shill. I'm here to tell you what you should have so that you can save a life. And I'm going to tell you about a deal, okay? I don't know if you heard about this, but right now, this bad mamma jamma, this one, the Bear Fact, if you use code BEAR50, it's $50 off. I don't know if you heard that, okay? $50 off right now if you use BEAR50 on the site. Plus, there's 2 surprise things on there that you can bundle with it and also get another discount. So, what? Shill, Lauren, shill. That's right. And then obviously the pocket fact. Let me grab one that's not stuffed real quick. Hold on. Okay, I did it. I did it. Look at this tiny little thing. So tiny, so flat, but it holds major things. Holds flashlight, tourniquet, and a mag. We are still running the deal on that right now, so if you do the pocket organizer, you get a discount on a TQ of your choice. And let's see, what else do we have right now? We have Essential Responder coming up in October. Wilderness Responder still has some spots. I don't know if you guys have caught the videos for the pack out for that, but it's kind of crazy. My arms get tired as they, oh, Mike is running. My arms get tired as I'm filming because there's so much stuff in their pack outs. Come tell him, Mike. Come, whatever it is, come tell him.
Tell them the pocket organizers are still in production, so I have 4 coyotes left. So the grays, blacks, and greens are in production, so stand by.
So we sold out of all the first ones?
Yep.
Okay, so we had to do a second. Okay, so the first batch sold out. And you have how many left?
I have 4 coyotes left.
There are 4 coyotes left in the shop right now.
So the people that ordered the black greens, they're going to have to wait.
So the people who have ordered black and greens and stuff, they are in production. So now you know, okay? Who is coming to Wilderness Responder? I know instructor-wise, we're going to have TJ, Mike, Striker is going to be there, Ed from Canada, and of course, my love, Heath will be there too. You guys be praying for Grindstone. They're deployed down in Texas right now. And what else? You're doing great. Thanks. Thanks. Let's see. I wish there was something in SoCal. Are you talking about training? Oh, you know what? That brings up a really good point. So you guys know we did Train the Trainer maybe like a few months ago. And we had several graduates who qualified to become refuge training partners. We are in the works right now with figuring out what states they're in, what states they're willing to travel to, and when they want to hold classes. So I have my preliminary list that I've written out this morning, which I'm not going to share quite yet, but we are working on an interactive map on the website, and basically it will highlight the different states that our training partners are in. Now, in order to qualify as being a refuge training partner, you had to have gone through either the refuge responder course or the essential responder and then graduated from our Train the Trainer and be approved to teach the class at more than just a community level, like what you would teach your church and stuff like that. So they will be teaching and holding public and private classes. I can say we have a couple of different teachers in Indiana. We have a Tennessee, Ohio. So we have a handful, and we're going to have more. We have another Train the Trainer coming up in November. So if that's something that you've been wanting to do, it's a great opportunity to not only start your own business, but teach people how to not die. So that'll be coming up in November. So we will have a new list of instructors who will be able to teach in various states. So when we can't travel, there will be someone who can help you do that or help you take class. Let's see. A Stop the Bleed class. And and it's really hit or miss, Polly, on the Stop the Bleed classes, because sometimes it's the kind of class where they just like show you the tourniquet and they're like, hey, you know what to do now, but they didn't actually make you put it on. There were no reps and sets. There was no stress inoculation. There was no refuge, touch to it, if you know what I mean. So I would say you really need a vet who's going to be doing the class, which is what's so great about refuge training partners, is because they have been vetted. They've gone through our course, some of them more than once, or well, they all had to go more than once, but some of them multiple times. And we know that they know how to do this material. They've been taught how to teach it, and they can always come to us and ask us questions. And they're using our curriculum too, so they're not building their own. They're taking our curriculum out and teaching others the way that we would teach too. Cannot see what's on the lower right corner of the screen. There's a microphone that looks like it's bigger than life. It's bigger than me. I don't know what might be on the lower right corner. Let's see. Yay, David, yours is out for delivery. That's awesome. What's up, Patriot Plumber? Hello. Let's see. What a great way to spread that knowledge. Yeah, and that's the thing. There's only so many of us, so we can't cover every state. We just can't physically do it. But we can teach other people who can turn around and do that. TJ's back. Use code BEAR50 for $50 off the Bear Pack.
What?
Don't tell him I told you.
Bear fitting. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
These things are not protein bars. There's
What is
peanut caramel Bear Bells bars. These are basically just candy bars.
Is it like a Baby Ruth?
Kind of.
It's just that goopy stuff with the.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like if like Reese's and Baby Ruth had a love child, which is acceptable. Do 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 do. Boop 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 do do do. GrindstoneMinistries.com is there's 40 people watching on X. Hi people, that's so cool. GrindstoneMinistries.com is our 501c3 disaster relief organization, 100% privately funded by y'all. We do not build a homeowner, we do not build a municipality, we do not build a state, we do not build the federal government. We do not ask you to donate your time and then quietly fill out FEMA forms billing the government for your hours like many, many, many other air quote ministries and air quote nonprofits do. We're privately supported by y'all, which makes me accountable to just two different things: the creator of the universe and you guys and girls. And our motivations are pure. We are in Texas right now. You may have heard about the catastrophic flooding down in Kerrville. Well, Leander is really bad too. There's a bunch of areas that are really bad. It's now 10 days after the storm, and there's still wide swaths, don't tell anyone, wide swaths of areas still that have search and rescue's not been conducted. It's not rescue anymore, it's recovery. It's rough out there. There's a lot of information that I'm aware of that I cannot share at this point, but it's rough out there. And so if you would like to be part of the solution, you have a couple of options here. You can go to grindstoneministries.com and you can either sign up to deploy with Grindstone Ministries, or you can donate. One or the other. Only if the Spirit leads. If the Spirit is not leading, then please consider other options. Go pour in somewhere else. But disaster relief is what we do. Our love language is diesel fuel and chainsaws. And we've done it more than 50 times, supported entirely by y'all. So if that floats your boat, if you'd like to be a part of that, go to grindstoneministries.com. And like I said, you can either donate there. We're a legit 501c3 charitable organization, or you can come deploy, or both, or neither, or whatever. But definitely please tell people about Grindstone, because there's a lot of shills and grifters down in Texas right now. There's a lot of impersonating people. There's people who are claiming to be associated with different ministries and organizations, and they're not. And there's people that are claiming to be officials with insert agency here, police department, fire department, emergency management, and they're not. Just a massive amount of storm grifting going on, to say nothing of the organizations that air quote deploy to these disaster zones to go help and raise millions, if not billions of dollars per storm, and aren't doing anything. So if you want to do something, if you want to punch above your weight, if you want to have a meaningful impact for people who lost everything, go see grindstoneministries.com. That's us. And it's a great time. It's a great time. And I'll tell you this too. We are unapologetically a little rough around the edges. We're us. We do study the Bible, and we do try to live the Bible. There might be a little, if you're a really nice person, the language you might find abhorrent on occasion. All right, cool. We're men and women of the Most High, bringing life and life abundantly amidst chaos and death.
I know, I got it.
And you're talking some very construction-minded, blue-collar, hard-working people. We're rough around the edges, and that's good, because it takes good men and women that are rough around the edges to be able to walk into chaos and bring life. Because really nice people tend to run away because it's overwhelming. Cool. We're not nice. We're good. And don't conflate the two. Speaking of not nice but good, CalebHouse.org. Caleb with the K. CalebHouse.org is our counter-trafficking ministry. Again, there's a lot of people that say they do a lot of things in the counter-trafficking space, and mostly what they're doing is grifting off of the backs of serially raped and murdered children in an effort to raise funds for themselves. And those people are going to burn in hell. Not us. Again, punching above our weight. I would have been live yesterday morning, and I wasn't, because somebody who needed help walked into our office, and we spun up some teams, we spun up some resources, and 12 hours later, we're able to come to a resolution, begin the process of a resolution for an individual who has been hurting their whole life. That's amazing. We can't do that without y'all. We are operational in many states, the details of which I can't give you. I'm not going to give you. You can go to calebhouse.org if you want to learn more about what specifically we do, broad brushstrokes, and where we do it. But there's lots of people that talk about rescuing kids. There's very few that do it. There's even fewer that engage in restoration, which is the process of putting broken people back together again. And it's the critical need in counter-trafficking. And so if that's something that the Spirit is compelling you to support, to pour into, you can go to calebhouse.org. If it's not, no harm, no foul, no hard feelings. I don't want to do anything that's not in line with the Spirit. I don't want a dime from anybody that's not led to pour into these good works that we do. So it ain't grifting, it ain't shilling. It's presenting opportunities to you, because our Father is sovereign over all things, and we've always gotten what we needed when we needed it. So if the Spirit's not on you, that's okay. There's 100,000 other NGOs and 501c3s that need help too. Go volunteer at the soup kitchen. Go get involved in a prison ministry. Go next door and help your neighbor that just needs help. Find a widow or an orphan locally that you can assist. Just go and do. That's it. Just go and do. Go to where the Spirit calls you and do what the Father tells you to do. That's the show for today. Yeah. That's what I got. I love you guys. I'll see you when you see you. I'm out. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom, everyone.